Hey, Lisa, what's up, lady?
Hey, how's it going?
Partying. What about you?
Sitting in my car. I'm so excited to be talking to you, but I'm
I,
also really nervous.
I
So
am
thank you.
super excited to be talking to you. Hey, I was in Dallas this past week, and I met some amazing folks from Ontario. A whole bunch of you guys came down. Super fun. They represented Canada well, so that's awesome.
Okay, well that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
So what's up?
Okay. So I guess I'll just jump into my kind of questions. So
Cannonball.
I found your show actually last month through listening to the Ramsey show as I'm trying to sort out my finances. And so I've been listening to your podcast. And so my question is about getting over a fear of relationships and decision making. So even though I really want to be in a relationship and get married, and I definitely want to be a mom one day, I keep getting hung up on dating. So some background, I came from a large conservative, fairly religious family. Dating wasn't really encouraged when I was younger. The I Kiss Dating Goodbye book was definitely a thing in our house.
Sweet.
I haven't hooked up ever with anybody, but masturbation, sexual intrusive thoughts were definitely an issue that started when I was younger.
Hey, can I just keep interrupting you? Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
I hate it that I do this all the time, but I always want to just stop for a second. All right, you said you came from a large religious conservative home, and dating wasn't really encouraged. That was a super kind of borderline not truthful way of saying that, right?
Yeah, it was not encouraged. Some of my siblings who maybe were dating not with my parents knowing.
Okay. So it was like a
thing.
secretive mud hole. Like, we don't do this. We're going to stomp any of those things in the ground. How old are you right now?
Now I'm in my early 30s.
Okay. So why is
most of my other siblings, older and younger, are married?
Okay. All right. So why is thinking about sex? Why is masturbation? Why does that haunt you? You're 31.
What do you mean? Well, because I don't feel like
it's a natural part of being a human being to figure out what you like and what you're into. And you're all by yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, that does make sense. It's just that I feel like the stories I tell myself in those times are always
there you go.
Very dark.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Totally. Yes. And now you're looking around and all of your siblings are married, so they've clearly figured this out, and you feel like what?
Yeah, that is part of it. So I feel like I can't trust myself to make this big decision because every other decision in life is pretty much changeable. Whereas, I feel like marriage is forever. And so, say, for example, I went to university. That was I could start my degree and then I could drop out of school. I mean, I didn't. I stayed in school. But you know what I mean? There's, a permanence to the covenant of marriage that I feel keeps me from, I don't know, being able to, date freely, if that makes sense. In the sense of being I want to do this, and I don't have to be afraid that I'll end up with the wrong person.
When did you learn to not trust you? And here's why I asked that. I'll give you a second. I asked that because there's an other side to that safety of that covenant. And some people who grow up in really chaotic homes are really deeply drawn back to the chaos. And other people who grew up in chaotic homes are really, really drawn to that safety of, you're my person, we are ride or die, we're going to figure this out over the next 60, 70 years. And
there's a mix of those in our family.
So beneath all of that, though, for you, is you don't trust you. Where does that come from? What have you messed up so bad that you don't trust even your attraction, your love? Where does that come from?
I mean, I can't pinpoint a specific moment. Like my parents did separate for a little bit because like my dad was fairly controlling, like, and I was like really young. I don't really remember this, but it sounded like he was emotionally abusive, and like my oldest sister was really affected by that as like a child. So my mom separated for like a couple, I don't think it might have been months. But then we like eventually got back together. They had more kids. And so like I knew that it was like super important to always do the right thing in a sense growing up, because like you didn't want to make anybody mad. But I don't exactly, like I can't really trace that to an instance.
Is the idea of living the life your mom has led, does that terrify you?
Yeah.
Okay. Say that out loud.
Okay. The idea of living the life that my mom has lived terrifies me.
Okay. That's different than I don't trust Lisa. That is all be damned if I'm going to end up like my mom. So much so that I will rob myself of laughter and safety and love and a wild rock of sex with some person that I am head over heels with, that I have anchored to for the rest of my life. I'll throw all that away because I'm not going to have that. Not going to be like my mom. And you've been haunted by mom and dad's voices for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, and I see it. I feel like, I mean, like I love my siblings and my.
Stop apologizing. You're so good.
They have great relationships. Lots of great relationships with their partners, but some of them have married people that I'm like I would not.
Then don't. Okay, but then don't.
I know, but it's like they didn't seem that way at the time.
Okay. I bet they did. Occasionally you get just a full-on bait and switch. That happens. I've talked to those people. I've met those people. Most of the time you marry somebody and people just grow up and they change. And they have to decide day by day, month by month, year by year, season by season. All right, let's relearn, because you're a new person now. I'm a new person now. Thank God I'm a different guy than my wife married, right? Because she married an idiot. A moron, right?
No, I mean, yeah, you do want your partner to grow and change. Okay.
What's the thing beneath the thing here? Have you screwed something up bad in a relationship before? Have you broke somebody's heart or had your heart broken?
Like, yes, in the sense that, like, okay, so I've been in 2 very brief relationships. They were both about 3 months. And in the one, he was like, oh, like he indicated he was a Christian. And then we did like the Christian things. We went to church. We started like praying together. He grew up in a Christian family. We were like reading a devotional together. And then something just like didn't sit right with me, which I had known earlier, but we kept dating because he was very great in a lot of other ways. And so finally one day I was just like, hey, like, is this a real like personal thing for you? And he's like, actually, no, it's not. I was like, okay, well, that's good to know kind of thing. So I was really hurt by that, because we had talked about how important that was to me. But at the same time, I knew like probably by our 3rd date that I was like, this doesn't quite seem as real as he's making it.
Mm-hmm. And so let's take dating, because dating's off the table. Let's take dating off the table because it's very, it's electric.
Yeah.
Have you ever played basketball?
Like, not actually on a team, but just for fun.
Okay. Let's say you suddenly tomorrow were like, I really want to play basketball. And they're like, cool, you're on the team. Get out on the court. And you ran out on the court. and you grew up in a home and your parents are like, people who play basketball are evil. And actually, if they miss shots and layups, this eternal evil being is going to damn them to hell forever and roast them and torture them. And then you get thrown out onto the field, onto the basketball court, not even a field, a court. And they throw you the ball, and they're like, go get them. And you're like, I don't even know the rules of the game. I don't know how to play. And they're like, pass the ball, shoot, pass it. What are you doing? Ah! Right? And then you actually are on a team, and they're like, let's let her get some layups and stuff, and it's cool. And then after a few months, they start swatting your shots into the stands, and they steal the ball from you, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not as good at this as I thought. Would that mean you're a terrible person? You're dumb? You're untrustworthy? No, it would mean you don't know how to play basketball because you've never played it, and everyone around you is like, I'm amazing at basketball. And you watch them, and some of them are pretty good, and some of them are like throwing the ball off the top of the backboard. And they're like, look at that shot. And you're like, that's not a good shot, right? All that to say is this. Give yourself some grace and begin to change the narrative in your mind that Lisa is somebody that is trustworthy. And Lisa's real smart. And Lisa doesn't have to cut off all 10 of her toes just so she doesn't end up running the race like her mom did. And when you get that gut reaction, I want you to leave. Even if everyone around you is like, oh, isn't he wonderful? And if you have a boundary and you let it go a little bit too, like real close to the boundary or too, like, don't beat yourself up over it. You missed a layup. I learned something. Cool. And I don't want to undermine it. Relationships, romantic relationships, they're heavy and they are intense and they're vulnerable and they're revealing. All those things are true. And then you throw in religion, and you throw in parent issues, and you throw in siblings. All of it gets so heavy. And so I'm intentionally trying to talk in a way that to lessen the pressure, because nobody can. I mean, you're turning this into an NBA playoff game, and you've never dribbled a basketball in front of anybody, right? And the pressure's so much. You go on one date, and you're like, okay, is this going to be a guy I could be with forever? That's a lot of pressure the first time you go out. And he trying to grab my hand. Does that mean he's going to want to? Oh gosh, is he trying to do? Oh, well. Just go have fun. Can you practice that for a season?
Yeah, and I feel like I was doing really good at that. Where I was going on like so many, like I went on 5 first dates in 1 week. I was like, okay, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. And then had that relationship was like that also happened around some other like personal stuff that happened. So then didn't for a while. And then I was just like, I just feel like I'm so tired of this, because now literally my mom is like, oh, so-and-so asked about you, or like,
yeah, she doesn't get a vote. Don't let her do that. Like, don't let her do that. She doesn't get a vote. She cashed out. You're 31 years old. And I want you to say, Mom, I don't want to hear anybody don't set me up with anybody. And if you want to get real mean, you could say your track record's not super great, but I don't want you to set me up with anybody. I don't want you to hook me up with anybody. I'm a grown up and I can figure this out for myself. Even inside, you're like, I can't figure this out for myself, right?
Yeah, no, that is exactly the thought. Okay.
Is that fair?
Alrighty.
Now, I'm not saying you have to go on 5 dates on 5 nights in a week and all. That's a lot, right? That's just busy. It's exhausting. It can be confusing. I get that. But you can set yourself up like, hey, every Monday night, we're all getting together at so-and-so's house, or we're all going to get together and throw darts, and we're all going to get together at my place. Bring your friends. Bring somebody from work. Bring your friends. Hey, we're all going bowling. We're all going to go do a thing. If you're still a person of faith, I'm going to make sure that I go to this church, and I'm going to get involved in this XYZ. And if I go to a small little church, and it's just great people, and it's awesome, but it's not connecting cool, I'm going to go to a different building. And maybe what I'm going to saying is I'm going to put myself in position to have relationships. They don't have to be romantic, and they don't have to be high pressure, and they don't have to be, are we going to make out? Are they going to hold it? I'm just going to be around people, and I'm going to put myself in positions where I'm around other people. I do that now. When I start getting really introverty and really closing the world, I set up places where I've got to go be with other people in the world. And you can do that too. And by the way, just talking to you on the phone, you're a lovely person. Like, you make me laugh. You're funny. You're engaging. You're real smart. And you've got your head on a swivel. You've seen some stuff. That's the kind of person that people want to be around. And so I want you to begin practicing 10 times a day. I want you to write this down, not to manifest, nothing like that. We're just practicing the thoughts. Lisa, I don't want you to say it, not I, but I want you to say Lisa. Lisa is a person who can trust herself. Lisa is a person who can trust herself. Lisa is someone who can trust herself. I want you to begin to create some space between, I can't trust anything. Yeah, you can. I want you to begin to practice that third person. Write it 10 times a day for 30 days. See what happens. And put yourself in a position to be around other people. And not every interaction is the Super Bowl. It's just not. It's not. And when those voices in your head that tell you every thought you have, every action, everything is just bad, it's not. It's not. It's not. And you have to decide, I'm going to stop letting my mom and my dad speak into my 31-year-old mind. I'm going to stop letting a out-of-control youth minister from 20-something years ago speak into my life. I'm not going to have that anymore. I'm going to be free. I'm going to choose freedom. Whew. Now, this is going to sound like a weird sideways twist, but I'm going to send you both of my books, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, which I think is going to speak to you a lot, and Building a Non-Anxious Life. I want you to take that track. Often when we don't trust ourselves, underneath it is this sense of angst, of I'm not even sure of taking the next right step because I don't think I'm going to step in the right place. And I want you to follow that book to a T. Holler back. He's out there, I promise you. I promise you he's out there. Go get him.